So this is the design we created. See, when section rule is created, so we have to map it in flow rule. Okay, so to map the UI design flow, there is one rule called, that is some interface is there, that is nothing but flaction. See, anytime, so when you're creating a UI design, so you have to map it in a one rule called or container called flaction. So this is mandatory. See, because section rule, whenever we map it in workflows, only through flaction only we can map. So design and all will create through section only, but if you're mapping in a workflow, through flaction we need to add. Okay, so that is mandatory. So any sections, if you create some 30-40 sections in an application or 100 sections in an application, so for every section we need to create a rule called flaction we need to define. And then, so that we have to map it in the flow. So what is flaction and what is flow, today we'll understand. So what is the purpose of the flow rule is, so in order to see in flow rule many rules we can map, but UI design if want to map means through flaction only it is possible. Okay. So the next step is we need to define a rule called flaction. So it is a process rule. See, before 7 version it is up to 7.1 version it is user interface rule, but after 7 version it is added in the process category. That is, the rule purpose is same and rule usage is same. Only thing is, after the 7 version, that is after 7.1 version, so this particular rule is moved to process category. Before that it is available under user interface category. Apart from that there is no change. And the purpose of this flaction is nothing but it's a container of section. See, what are the UI design we create in the applications through section, so we have to compulsory call it in the flaction rule. And in flaction there are some additional actions we can perform that will work on the coming scenarios. So today we'll only see how to call the section in a flaction and how to call this in the flow rule we are going to understand today. See, in this flaction there are many other things will be there. We can add validations, we can add business logic. So those are all additional actions, not mandatory, optional, but we are going to work on those in the next scenarios. So now if they ask you what is the purpose of flaction means, so if you want to map the UI design in flow means only through flaction only it is possible. So whenever we define a section, and if your UI design if you want to connect in flow, through flaction we have to configure. So it's very simple, only one step will be there right now. But in the coming scenarios, how to configure validations for the UI design and any business logic if required. So how to configure business logic using some rules, that will be working in the next scenarios. So that we'll be understanding in the coming classes we'll understand. So don't worry about the other things now. So now we are only going to configure the section inside flaction rule. Just add the section name inside the flaction rule. So it's very simple. If you go to App Explorer, so this is the section we have in the previous session. So if you expand this user interface category, okay, I think some updates are installed. I'm not getting. Give me a second. I'll refresh once. Okay. See, in the application, so if you want to open a flaction, go to process category. So if you right click on class option, so go to process category. So you can see a rule called flaction. Open this. So you can give some name to this. So you can give a name. See, for the section, what are the name given? So give a similar name, but at the end you can give it as FA. FA is nothing but flaction in short form. So give a name to this and click on open. Okay, in this today we are only going to use this thing. So we need to give the name for the what are the section we are going to use in this flaction. So it is a container of section. So as of now we are going to call this customer section. See, in the drop down you can choose this. See, if you want to get these options, drop down options from your keyboard, you can click on down arrow. So you can see these options, section name, and just save the flaction. So as of now this is only required. In the coming classes, what to how to define validations at page level and how to define any business logic, we'll be having some additional things we are going to configure later. Okay, so as of now this is mandatory, remaining are optional things. So optional things and all will be working step by step. Now what is the next step is, so like that we can simply any section we create, so for the section we'll be creating a flaction. So if you want to create a flaction, go to process category, open the rule, and just in the settings, in the tab, if you open that, you can see the layout tab. In the section drop down you have to just give the name of section. So save it, and more about flaction, what are the additional other things in the flaction, you'll understand in the coming scenarios. So in the future we'll be in the next classes we'll be working on validations, and in the action tab we can configure business logic. Okay, that we'll understand later. Now what is the next step is, so now we'll work on these what are these workflows. Okay, so today we are going to understand how to map the UI design in the workflow and how to compile them. So in order to compile the flow, some settings we have to do. So what are the settings, and so what are the shapes we have, and today we'll understand in order to map the UI design what is the shape we are going to use, we are going to understand today. And basically flow is the main name, but apart from that there are some alternate names for this. We can call it as process flow, we can call workflow, case, transaction. If I use any of these terms, all are same. Okay, but in different places you'll get these other names also sometimes. So but if you call flow or any other names if I use, so all these terms are same, that is all the things are same. Okay, but when you open a rule, the main rule name will be there, like a flow rule it will be there. Okay, and this is also added from process category. Okay, if you open any rule, some from some category we need to open. So flaction also will open from process category, so like that flow also will open from process category. Okay, so the purpose of this flow is to define the life cycle. So that is nothing but, see, some rules will be creating in the application based on the task, okay, assigned to us. So we will be creating like a what are the task we have given so to you. So accordingly, after creating the rules, we'll be mapping in the workflow we have to map. So in Pega, any design we created, finally we need to connect in the flows we have to connect. And these flows finally will be connecting in the case types. So what are case types, you'll understand in the advanced sessions. So as of now, like that, any design we create in the application or any business logic or any condition we create, so but not mandatory, but some main rules will be there. So those main rules will be mapping in the flow directly, but indirectly any rule we are creating in the application, so it will be connected in the flow. For example, okay, I'll show you after mapping the UI design, I'll show that one. So in flow rules, so you'll be getting all the graphical shapes. So every shape is available, but those shapes are internally. So Pega has some particular purpose for each shape. So any kind of rule if you want to map, some dedicated shape will be there. So we have to use that one. That all on practice you'll be understanding step by step. In one session you cannot understand all the shapes, but going forward, so we'll be doing some more examples on this. So at that time, which what is the shape we need to use and what is the purpose of that shape, you'll understand in the coming scenarios also more examples. So today we'll understand how to map the UI design in flow and how to give the connections and what are the settings we need to do to compile the flows. Okay, some basic testing we are going to perform here. So what are the design created, so we are going to map it in the flow and we can execute that one or we can compile that one. So this will define the complete life cycle. What is the starting step in the application? Then what is the next designs will it will display after the submission of the pages. So where menus should be there, where control should be given. So all that when you map it in the UI design, finally this UI designs we have to map it in the flow. But UI design when you are calling in flow through flaction we are going to provide. Okay, so directly section I cannot call it in the flow rule, but through flaction we are going to call the UI design here. Okay, and basically in this flow rule, so shapes are categorized into three types: basic, advanced, and automation shapes or smart shapes. So today we'll just use the basic shapes only. So but in the other classes we'll understand the other shapes in flow rule. So but three categories of shapes are available: basic, advanced, and automation shapes. So first of all, let's see. So we'll understand step by step. Once we open flow, we'll be understanding these options. But don't worry, in one session you will not understand complete flow, guys, because step by step you will be understanding. Today I'll be discussing some few shapes and some settings I'm going to discuss, and later we'll understand the other settings in flow. So in order to open this flow rule, so go to process category. If you go to process and click on this flow option, so for this I'm giving some name and click on open. See, when you open this flow rule, you'll get a default diagram like this. Okay, so you'll be getting three shapes will be available. So when you open any flow design, so the three shapes are nothing but this. The starting one is called as start shape, and the last one is called as end shape. And in between that, what are the design we have? This is called assignment shape. Okay, so the three basic shapes purpose is, so any flow if you open initially, so you'll be getting these three shapes you'll be getting. So the first one is called a start shape. So this is common one. Okay, so this is to begin the flow. So any flow if you open, so this is the common, and this is the last one is also common, and this middle one is also common. So the first one is to begin the flow, and the last one is to end the flow. And any other designs or other shapes if you want to configure, between start and end shape only we can add. Okay, and if on to the purpose of this middle shape is assignment purpose is to call the UI design. That is, so what are the UI design created through section. So if want to map it in the flow using this shape we can map, but directly I cannot give the section name. If you give the flaction name, automatically your UI design will be integrated in the flow shape. So in order to configure the UI design in flow, so we'll be using this shape called assignment. Suppose if I want to add second UI design, another assignment we have to use. So in order to use the any additional shapes if you want to add, or more shapes if you want to add here, in the header some shapes will be there. We can see these are the shapes we can include. So these are the basic shapes, and if you go to automation, these are smart shapes, and these are some advanced shapes. Okay, other shapes I'll discuss later. So if you want to add shapes from here, you can drag and drop. Just to select the shape and you can drag and drop and give the connection. So here the connector will be used to join the shapes, one shape with other, we can join them. And if you want to add the shapes, there is other way also. Right click on the diagram page, you can see add option you'll be getting. From here also you can just select the shapes. Okay, and if you want to connect them, just you'll be having the connector and just drag the connection. Suppose if you want to join these two shapes, say at the end of shape you'll get a node point, just drag the connection to the next shape, so it will be connected. So like from here if you want to connect to the next shape, so drag the connection to the next shape, automatically it will be connected. Okay, but anyway in this requirement only one assignment is required. Just I have shown how to connect and add shapes. Again we'll add in the coming scenarios these all. As of now just delete this, are not required right now. So if I want to delete, right click and delete, or else select the shape and use delete option. So now only one assignment is required because we're having only one UI design. So later if we have more UI pages or more steps means, so we are going to configure more shapes we are going to configure. Okay, as of now just connect this is the default diagram we have. So just we'll go with the default shape today. And in this assignment shape, you'll have many other options. So as of now, we only add the UI design, but for the UI design, if you want to add any additional actions like routings, this is separate topic. It will take one session. SLA, some half session it will take. That is a separate topic, and these are all we are going to configure for your UI designs, so which we are going to work later. And assignment details contain some harness. This is one session, it will take this complete topic, what is harness and types of harness. Then some case status, some 15-20 minutes topic. Like that you will be having local action, some 15 minutes topic. Notifications, okay, half session. This will take tickets, some half session. Like that, these are all some additional options, but I'm not discussing any importance of these things right now. But whenever I discuss those, at that time I'll give the introduction for each and every option. Okay, so like that in the application, so if you mapping the UI design, these are all some additional things. Only if requirement is there, we need to configure them. So if requirement is not there for assignment, what is the mandatory thing is, so you have to provide the user interface name, that is your flagship name we have to provide. But where you need to provide that means, see in the connectors it will look same, every connector will look like same, but actually the connector settings are different for every shape. Okay, so if you open this connector, start shape connector, it will be having some options. And if you open this connector which is forward connector for assignment, so options like where we need to provide the flagship name. Okay, here actually we need to give the flagship name. This is the label given for the flow, but in the drop down we need to give it exactly. So here connector looks same, the purpose is to join the shapes, but here the connector settings will be different for every shape. Okay, so for start shape connector, no need to give any parameters, but in the assignment connector we need to provide the flagship name we have to provide. So open these settings, assignment settings. So here in this so click on down arrow, you can see your UI design, you can see which is flagship. Select that. Okay, so like that anytime if you want to provide the flagship name means under the assignment connector we have to provide. Suppose if you don't know whether it is given or not, you can also give a label for the connector. So here in the, here you can see same thing, you can copy paste or manually also you can give some. So label, actual flagship name is given in the drop down here, but here if you give any label, so other developers open the design, they can understand which design, which flagship is given or which UI design is given in the connector settings. So that will also provide the label after giving the rule name. So once again I'll quickly repeat. So first one, once we open the flow, so here the main thing is in this design we are going to map our UI design. Okay, so UI design will create using section only, but when mapping in the flow through flagship only we can map. Okay, because directly section cannot be called in the flagship here, but when you call the section in here in the connector settings, when you give the flagship name, see in Pega, directly few rules only will map it in the flow, but indirectly every rule we create in the application, indirectly it will be added in the flow. Because see, if you add this flagship internally, what is there inside the flagship, you'll have a section. And what are there in the section, properties are there. So even though we don't directly map all the rules, so if you open section, again inside the section what we have, properties are there. So though we don't directly map every rule in the flow, but indirectly every rule will be connected in the flow. Okay, so because see when flagship is given, so flagship contains section and section contains properties. So any rule we create in the platform or any rule we create in the application will be directly, so or indirectly or directly, it will be configured in the flow rule. Okay, so any only few rules only will connect in the flow directly, but indirectly any rule we define or anything we create in the application, so indirectly it will be connected to the flow. Okay, example, properties we didn't directly map here, section we didn't directly map here, but indirectly, so those are also connected in this flow design. Okay, like that only few rules, only some 5 to 10 rules only will directly map, but internally, so there are many other rules which will be creating and later we are going to assign directly or indirectly inside the flow rules. Okay, that don't worry, that step by step you will understand those. And apart from that, actually if you want to compile this flow, So some internal settings we have to do in this. So one thing is, so first thing is, you can see one button in the other options. You can see some button, draft on button. See, any flow we create, whether you after mapping the rules, so it is mandatory that, so just to turn off the draft mode. First of all, if before turning off, what is the purpose? So draft on is nothing but a just a dummy flow, just for demonstration purpose. If the flow is in draft on mode, means it is just a dummy flow. So what happens if the flow is in draft on, means maybe it may not show exact errors, it may not show, it may compress some of the errors. Okay, so what happens if the flow is in draft on, means it may suppress or it may not show the exact errors in the design, because actually for assignment flaction is mandatory. Suppose if I remove the flaction, if I will add again, but as of now I'm going to remove this once. I'm going to remove this once. See, if I save this, I'll not be getting any error message. Okay, because draft on is just a dummy flow. If I use this, so if I use this, what happens means, so if I don't turn off this one, if I am not giving the flaction, means if you move the flow in the production server to the live environment, so this design if not given, means it will not display, it will not display anything, it will be blank. Okay, so what we will be doing means, whether you after mapping the rules, so compulsory for every flow only one time setup, so we have to turn off the draft mode. So if I turn off the draft mode, what happens means I'll be getting some error here, because flaction name is not given. If it is on, means it is not going to throw any error. So the purpose of draft on means, okay, it is a just a demonstration purpose. If the draft mode is on, what happens means it may compress some of the errors, it may compress, it may not show the exact errors, it may not show. So it is a required thing. Okay, whenever we create any flow and after mapping the rules, so try to turn off the draft mode without any second thought. Okay, so turn off the draft mode, so that any hidden errors are there, it is going to show. So here actually it is showing an error that, so flaction cannot be blank, so we have to provide the flaction details here. See, again, not in every connector will give the flaction. So this is assignment shape. So if assignment is taken, that's why we are getting these flaction details in the connector. If you use some other shape, you will not get the flaction details in the connector settings. So every connector settings depends upon the from which shape you are connecting. Accordingly, you will be getting the settings, guys. Okay. Every connector you will not get this flaction option. If you want to add one more UI design, you need to add another assignment. You need to add. Okay, and after the rules is mapped, so just to turn off the draft mode, then that is first setting after mapping the rules. So turn off the draft mode for every flow. And what is the second setting you need to do means, actually we need to compile the flows. So as of now we didn't define any conditions or business logic, but in order to make the flows executable, see, we don't get this run option after saving this. So you don't see the run option in the action drop down. So what you need to do means, we need to make the flow executable, or we need to make the flow compile. So how to do that means, one setting will be there. Go to process tab in the same flow. Once go to process tab. So once refresh, sometimes if it is not responding, once try to refresh. Go to process tab. So you'll get one option called create a new work object. Actually, if you select this checkbox, then only we'll get this run option. See, now there is no run, right, under the action drop down. So enable this checkbox, create a new work object, and after saving this flow, so save this, and now if you go to the drop down, you can see run. So if you want to compile the flow, the second setting you need to do is, so after you turn off the draft mode, how to make the flow executable means, go to process tab of flow and enable this checkbox and save the design. Okay, save the flow rule. So then you'll be getting this run option, but still third setting, one more setting is left. So if you run the transaction or if you run the flow, what happens means, some default work parties page will open. What is work party? I'll discuss later. Okay. So let's today we'll just understand what is the setting we have to do in order to block this page. So when you run that flow, so it will display some default work parties page. So we have to block that page. So this is the work parties page. So in this, in your UI design, what are the fields are there? It will display all the fields with some header options and buttons, and you'll get some work parties participant information or parties information. I will discuss about work parties later. So actually you have to block this page. Okay, so when executing any flow, so we need to block this page. So how to block this page means, so you'll have in the same process tab, if you scroll down, you'll get one setting called work parties, and an option will be there as default. So what are the page displayed right now? This is the default work parties page. But when you execute any flow, so we need to display our work object form. What is work object form? I'll discuss after this execution. I'll discuss. So we need to display our work object form. So for displaying that, we have to choose an option here. Instead of this default, we'll be selecting py case management default. We need to select. So these three settings after the mapping the rules in the flow. So apply these three settings for every flow. If you create any flow from the app explorer, so do these settings for every flow if you want to compile them. Okay, so first one is turn off the draft mode. So then second one is create a select enable the checkbox, create a new work object. And in the third setting is under the work parties, you have to choose py case management default. Okay, so apply these three settings and save the design flow. Now if you run this transaction, so you'll be getting a work object. See what are the form now it is going to display. This is called as work object form or work object page we can call. Now what are the form it is going to display now? So that we will be calling as a work object form. So this entire thing, so this is the work object form. See, this contains some template, some Pega systems built-in template. Okay, so what are the template and how to customize, that all come under harness rule. When I discuss more about harness rule, you will be working on what is these header options and how these options can be customized. Okay, as of now, don't worry, this is the built-in template. So your design, what are the design added in the assignment connector? So that design will load, and here buttons also will automatically show. Okay, so in the UI level, no need to define any custom buttons. Okay, we can add in some scenarios, but as of now not required. So automatically when you map the UI design in flow, buttons will be generated. Okay, now, okay, initially today we don't have any business law, means initially we didn't define any business logic or conditions or anything. So what I can test right now is just whether the form is displayed or not, or if you want to check any basic validations will perform that when property is created based on the type and UI control. So automatically some basic validation will apply. So that all if you want to check, you can check later. Means we'll be connecting with tables, will insert data, update data, fetch data, some different business logics we are going to create later, that we are going to verify in the coming scenarios. Now if you run the flow, now I can check the basic validation. I can check, suppose we, so in Pega text means it will support number, alphanumeric and alphabetic also it will support. Okay, but if it is a mandatory field is there, compulsory we need to provide the value. Without giving any input for the mandatory field, I cannot submit the design. Okay, just I'm giving a test input. See, for integer types, it will not allow any value except number. So if I try to type any string value for the integer field, see, I'm actually typing some strings here. It is not going to take input also. In previous versions, it will allow input. After that, it will throw the message. But in present version, from present version, it will not allow input also. If you type any alphabetics in the keyboard, okay, only number if you type, then only it will allow. So make sure, so you only give the number for the integer types. So some other things, phone number also, if you give any string, it will allow input but it will throw error message, because internally the validation defined like such that so only number will be taken for the phone type property. So if you give the number, it will take the input. And for email also, if you give a normal string, it will not it will take the string value, but compulsory email format it will check @.com is not there means it will not take the value, only just abc something. If xyz if you give, it will not take the input. So compulsory some some format if you give, then only it will take. So like that, these basic thing right now, just how to run the flows I'm showing, that's it. Don't worry too much about the backend thing. So here like that we can execute the flows, but in the coming classes we will also add business logic and some conditions we'll be creating. At the time you'll understand more. Okay, as of now only basic validations I'm showing right now. But if I submit this data, okay, drop down, drop down during the property creation, what are the static records given, it will show the static records in the drop down. Okay, and this is autocomplete. So autocomplete, if I type any record, so it is going to display the records, it is going to display. Excuse me. So autocomplete means if you type any one letter, if you type, sorry, one character if you type, so with that character any relevant records are there, it will populate all the data. Okay, and after that if you just place the pointer a few seconds, if you place the pointer, it will also show the autocomplete options what are we have given for this property, or the static records what are you have given for the property, it will show here. So like that we can choose the records what are given like that. So these are all like in the UI design how the property value okay should be given. So at the time of property creation some basic validation will apply, and additionally if you want to add some more validations, there are some other examples we'll be working later. Okay, so like that if I submit any data now, so this data where it is going to save we must know. Okay, so that is a backend thing. So we didn't define any tables. Okay, database is already connected in Pega, but we didn't define any tables and we didn't define any connections. That will happen after some 5-6 classes we'll be working on that, or after 3-4 classes we'll be working on table connections. But as of now, when table connections are not there, and what are the test data given here, so where this data will be stored, that I'm going to just to discuss few points. Okay, so once again, I'll repeat these flow steps, whatever I created. So first of all, we'll open flow from process category. The flow purpose is to define the life cycle of the what are the tasks we are going to perform. In that, what are the rules and all, we already created the rules. Now, in this requirement, we are going to map our UI design. So we'll open the flow. In the connector settings, see assignment if you take, then only you'll get these connector, assignment connector, then there only we can give the flaction name. Not in every connector you cannot give the flaction. If assignment shape is there, that's why we are getting these connector settings, and in this we are able to give the flaction details. But if you use some other shape, in that shape connector you will not get this flaction option. Okay, this connector settings depends upon the from which shape you are connecting, accordingly you'll get the connector settings here. Okay, if you are using assignment means, then you'll get these flaction details we can provide in the drop down. Submit that, and three settings you have to perform: turn off the draft mode, and go to the process tab and enable create a new work object in order to make the flow executable. And the third setting is, in order to display your work object page, we need to select the work party size py case management default. So these three settings apply for every flow. Okay, so next time again I will not repeat, so but I will be doing these settings for every flow I'm going to perform. And after that, save the flow and compile this one. So don't worry, now we didn't define any logic and all, but in the next classes more we'll be adding for the UI designs. Okay, and after the compilation, what are the page open, or what are the design we see, this page is called as a work object page. So in the work object page, what are the things we have? So this is entirely some built-in template, so Pega harness will be calling. So under the harness this will be displayed. Okay, so in this harness page, so what are the things like header will be there, for example, this your page, what are the UI page is there, UI page will be loaded. Right side will be getting some case details, participant information. Like participant means like a developer information, what is the name of the flow and what is the name of the developer. So that all information you'll be getting. Okay, that one, that all if you want to customize, we can also customize using some harness called perform harness, that I'll be working on advanced classes I'll be working. But now the point is, what are the test records given and submitted now in this design? So where this data will be stored, okay? So what happens to this data and where this data will be stored in the backend, that we are going to understand. See, in your application, for every execution, some ID will be created. In your application, first time if you run C-1, it will start in your system. So in my system, it will be different in the server level. So in my system, it is C-2001 for this transaction. So this is the ID. So which we can track the transaction. Using this ID, we can track the transaction details. See, what are the details we submitted? I told, right, this flow we can use different names, case, transaction, okay? So process flow, any name I can use. Please mute your microphones. See, during session you have to mute your microphones, guys. Any questions you can ask after the topic. So whenever we run this transaction, you'll be getting this information, right? So this is the ID which we can track. See, for again, if you run next time, the ID will be next ID you'll be getting. Okay. So any transaction if you want to track, see, because after execution, so we'll perform some debugging process. What is debugging? You'll understand tomorrow. So we'll perform some debugging process in the developer environment itself. What are the data we submit? It is mapped to the other properties or not, to the table it is mapped or not, or when you're connecting any external applications or external applications to Pega, if you're communicating, so the data successfully mapped to the target or not, we are going to verify. Or any business logic implemented in this page, it is working or not, we are going to debug. So the debugging process and all will be doing at different levels, step by step. So tomorrow we'll understand how to debug the data. There is a main tool called clipboard that we'll discuss in the next session. But before that, in the today's session, this will we'll understand the backend process, okay? That you don't do in the real time, but I want to show you what happens to this data and where this data will be stored in the server, okay? So for that, see, what are the data is submitted. So this, first of all, what are the page opened after execution, after running the flow, that is called as work object page, okay? So when you execute the flow, what are the page loaded, that is called as work object form or work object page we can call. And after the work object form is open, some id is created, right? We can call it as C-1 will be there in your system initially. So that is called work id, case id, transaction id, pyd or thread, if I use any of these terms, because in again in different places you'll get the in different terms you'll be getting, okay? So these are all the terms I can use for that id which is generated. And here other thing is, what are the information you see after submission, this information is there, right? So this information I can call it as a case information, work object information, transaction information, anything I can say, okay? Now what happens to this information, whatever we submitted for the fields, so what happens to this data and where it will be stored in the server? So now we are going to understand that. See, basically once we submit this data will be stored in the server. So server means actually after installation I told you to configure rule base. Suppose if you're able to do that configuration, okay, but in some systems it will not support. If you're unable to do, no issue guys, okay? Just know the steps which I'm discussing. See, what I'm going to do means, so this data will be permanently stored in a server call, which is we can call it as rule based server or pgadmin4 server, okay? That is a default server configured in the application. So in that the data will be permanently stored, okay? If any table connections are not given, so Pega contains some built-in tables in the rule base. Under the built-in tables it is going to save the data permanently. And again in the rule base, what is the, where is the location, or what, where is the, in which table it is going to store, that we are going to know. See, though we don't check every time, as a developer, once you must you know the path, right? Okay, that is enough. Actually, no need to open every time and check the data every time. Okay, any debugging if you perform, you'll perform in the developer environment only. Will perform. No need to open rule base in every scenario. Just if you want to know once, you can know. It may any entry questions if does, you can answer this. So that data, whatever I submitted, so it will be permanently stored in the rule base. And if you want to open the rule base, I told you after installation, just open this pgadmin4 and try to add a local host connection. If anybody missed that, refer to installation video, steps are there in that. So I'm going to open this pgadmin4 icon, and after I open this, so I have to go to the path, okay? Under the databases some settings are there, I'll go to that setting. So already localhost connection is given, right? Okay, in the installation part only I showed you how to create a localhost connection. So you'll get this localhost after this expand. So under this you can see your database name called Postgres. This is the default database we have in package given in the personal edition. And here expand this Postgres, you'll be having schemas. Don't worry, these are all some other things we don't use also. And in this you need to go to data. Under the schemas, go to data. Under this Pega tables will be there. Pega rule based tables will be calling. So when application is created in this, actually many rule based tables are there. You'll understand step by step. So any data, any execution data, or we can say work object data, right? So any case information or work object data submitted. So Pega will create one table after application creation. Okay. So the table name is what is your class group name? Alpha hyphen work. With a similar name, PC underscore alpha underscore work. With that name, one table will be automatically created in these rule based tables. Okay. This will be created after your application generation. Okay, so if you give the same names, means with that format, so the table name will be alpha hyphen pc underscore alpha auto underscore hyphen, sorry, not hyphen, alpha auto underscore work. Okay, so with that name one table will be generated, and now you can open the table. So first of all, in order to go to that, so you have to go to this. I have given all the steps in the document. So go to servers localhost and expand your database. You can see Postgres. You can go to schemas data, and if you expand the tables, there you can see a name call. If you give the same name for the organization and application name, so with this name, this table will be there. This is called as see, what is PX, PC and all I'll discuss here. So if I know the time, right, when to discuss. Don't worry before itself, okay? Don't be in a anxiety way. So first let me complete whatever I'm discussing. So everything will be discussed. What is PC, what are PX, PZ, everything will be discussed, okay? First of all, just listen to the session and understand that, okay? Don't be in very anxiety mode. Just listen to the topics, and what are the things which will be covered, it will be covered in the session later, maybe today or tomorrow, according to the topic we are going to discuss. Okay, don't be too anxious to know each and everything. You'll understand each and everything step by step. Okay, so here you'll be getting a table called PC underscore your work, your class group name, whatever is there. With that format, in underscore format, you'll be having one table called, this is called work table or PC table we can call. And in this table all the data will be stored in it will be stored in a binary format. So what is again binary format? Means like in some encrypted format it will be stored. It is for security purpose. Again from there, in the next classes we'll be connecting to the what are the data storage, what are the database given in your platform, in the package, in the enterprise server or wherever. So it will be from there we can connect to the, that is from this table we can connect to the database tables we can connect. Okay, that process and all will be using some rules like activity, data transforms will be using to connect to the data tables. Okay, that will be working step by step. So as of now, so in this table again where you can see the data means, so this is the table because the application name same I have given, right, in my application. So this is the table name you can find out. So if you right click on this work table, you'll be having view data and view all rows. If you click on this, see here, see table means what? So Pega contains hundreds of built-in columns, and which columns are required you'll be understanding later, guys. Okay, so every column no need to know the purpose, but some 15 to 20 columns will be there. That whenever I get the topic on that, I'll be discussing that. Okay, today you'll understand some 2 to 3 columns regarding the predefined columns. So here in this table means Pega contains all these predefined columns will be there. Okay, in today's topic, two columns are important. See here, how many records are there in this in this table? See, one time I executed in this server for this application, so one record is added. See, how to know whether this is your record or not? See, I told you whenever we run any transaction, some work ID will be created, right? So based on that work ID, we can track whether it is our work ID information or not, or our information or not, we can track. See, in my system, it is C-2001, I said, right? You can see, see this work ID value will be assigned to some column called PYID. Okay, so that's why I told we can also call work ID as other name is PYID, because your work ID value, whatever generated after execution, it will be assigned to a column called PYID. That's why. So I have mentioned PYD also is also called as work ID. And remember this property, PYD means your any transaction ID which is created, that ID value will be assigned to this PYD property. And data where it will be connected means in this table there is one column called PZPV stream. But the thing is, physically we cannot see the records here. Physically here all the data will be saved in binary format in this column called PZPV stream. So you can see all the values what I submitted. Physically we cannot check. Physically if want to check in developer environment, we'll be using a tool called Clipboard tomorrow. There itself we can check. But in the background, so this data will be saved in a encrypted format, and from here later we'll connect to the data tables we are going to connect. So because for every web application, save action will perform, right? So any user submit any data in the web application, so that data will be connected to the data storage in the tables, the respective tables it will be connected, that process. So first of all it will permanently store in the worker tables, and from here it will be connected to the data tables, it will be connected. But if want to connect from here means Pega contains some built-in methods. Means we don't write any queries in Pega. Some built-in methods will be there. You have to use the methods and fill the parameters. So it will automatically perform that action. Okay. So the thing is now, so after your execution, so first thing is, so your data will be first of all permanently stored in the rule base, or we can say pgadmin4 server. And in this server again, where it will be stored means Pega server contains some rule based tables. So this is the path in order to go to the rule based tables. And under that you will be having one table related to your application, which is called as work table, and it will be according to your class group format. What is your work class group format is there. So in that format you can identify one name called alpha underscore alpha underscore work. If you give the same name means with that name you can identify. If you are giving any different name means accordingly you can identify. Okay. And in this, if you right click on this table, go to view data and view all rows, you can see many columns will be there in this. So one column will be there PYID, that will there you can identify your work ID value, and you will be having one column called PZPV stream. So in that column all the data will be stored in binary format. Okay. So up to here, just this statement if you go, that is enough. If they are, nobody will ask the path and all, just for your information I have given the path where these rule based tables will be there. So go to these all the steps I have given in the shown in the server, right? So but if you want to answer means you can answer this one. It is stored in the work table, and in the work table it will be stored in the column called PZPV stream in binary format. So like actually the data travels from the application to the server, but in between one interface will be there called clipboard. That what is that interface? Actually, before reaching this server, again Pega will be having in developer environment will be having another primary server will be there. That is called clipboard. Actually, that data first it will go to clipboard, and from clipboard it will go to this rule-based table. Okay. So what is clipboard and all more you'll understand in the next session. We'll understand. Okay, so that is about the backend data. So any questions still here? So any questions up to here? What is flow and how to submit the data to this? See here, two columns are important. After you know this where this work object data is stored. So here like that, some what are the columns important in the application? See hundreds of columns are there, but every column we don't use. So but here remember these two columns. PYD means your work ID value will be saved to this property in the built-in tables. And PZPV stream means your work object data will be permanently stored if any. See, if table connections are given or not given also, first the data will come here, and from here only it will go. One instance will be, or one particular entry will be compulsory added in this table. Even if you connect to data tables also in the coming scenarios, first of all one entry will be added to this table under the column, and from here it will be saved to the data storage it is going to save. So remember this column PZPV stream where work object data will be mapped to this column in the work table. Okay. And other one two simple things is, see in our application, earlier I told you about different types of classes, right? See what are the different classes we have? Abstract and concrete. In abstract, basically I told you one statement directly, we cannot compile the flows in the abstract classes. But again in concrete we have three types are there, but in I told you one point that in concrete also again only in first two types only we can compile the data, that is under is a class group and under belongs to class group. Is a class group means work layer, belongs to class group means case types or work classes. Okay, because in Pega the design is configured like that, if you want to compile the flows or execute the flows, we cannot directly do it in the, suppose if you create a data class or integration class, there I cannot compile the flows. Only in is a class group and belongs to class group only we can compile them. As of now belongs to class group is not there. Okay, we'll be creating, I told it I'll be creating case types in the coming classes, so at that time again I'll show you. But as of now we are creating the flows in the is a class group, that is your work layer come under work concrete is a class group. So under this we are compiling the flows. Okay, even if you create flows in data classes or integration classes, we have to compulsory call it in these parent class, we have to call, that is under is a class group or belongs to class group we have to call compulsory. Okay, because in integration class and data classes subflows can be created, but main flows if you want to define, so if you want to call and execute them compulsory under is a class group and belongs to class group only it is possible, because internally this work id value will be assigned as a key. What are keys, I'll discuss more about these keys later. But internally for is a class group and belongs to class group, this pyd will be set as a key. Okay, if you want to see that, so if you open any class group name, give me 1 second. So if you right click on the class group name, when class is generated in Pega, so automatically some keys also will be set in the backend. So for is a class group and for belongs to class group, automatically PYD will be set as a class key. Wherever PYD is set as a class key, so there only I can compile the flows. So PYD will be only there for is a class group and belongs to class group only, it will be assigned. Okay. Another statement is in your application, if we have both is a class group and belongs to class group, both are there means where we can compile the flows, they may ask. See, in your application, as of now, only work layer is there, but in the future, if I define any subclasses also, to understand this, give me 1 second. I'll show you one doc. Give me 1 second. See, for example, so you are having a parent class right now, right? Okay, so in this scenario what we did in the last session, we created property section flaction and flow in the work layer I created, and just I compiled directly here itself I compile. Okay, but suppose in the future if I divide the application into more modules, like I created this application into three modules, case 1, case 2, case 3, like that. Okay, see, first of all, when modules are not there means always we can execute in the parent class. But once modules are created, what happens means design also will be creating in the, that is properties or section or flaction will be creating in the subclass. Okay, under the work layer if you define any subclass, it is a work class. So under that only will be creating properties and section. See what is inheritance concept, parent to child, anywhere we can reuse the rules, but if the rules are there in child class, can I create the flow in the parent class? If rules are available in the child class, can I add the flow in the parent class? Child to parent I cannot reuse any data, right?
Mm.
So if any subclasses are there means then workflows and all will be creating in the subclasses only. If a parent only parent is there means okay, then we can directly add in the parent. But once we divide the application into more classes, like more modules if you define means, then mostly flows will be defining under the subclasses. So if parent only is there means okay, you can directly create the flows in the parent. But once subclasses are created or some case types are created, we need to define the flows also in the subclass only. We have to define, then we don't define in the parent class. Once modules are created, then we don't define the flows in the parent class. Okay. Another thing is, in all the cases I can use the rules commonly from parent to child. I can reuse all the rules commonly, because parent class any data, if you have any property section or flaction, I can reuse in all the child classes. I can reuse. Okay, if same design is required. Okay, if different design means you can directly create in the subclasses. If same design require in all the classes means we'll be creating in the parent classes. Will be creating that also, I'll show you later. So like that, in application whenever we create any rules, so we'll be creating in the sometimes we'll be creating in the parent classes, and sometimes we'll be creating in the subclasses. If only parent class is there means, then directly we'll execute the flows in the parent class. But if subclasses also there means, so we'll define the flows and execute them in the subclasses only. Okay. So in the previous session, in both we can create the flows and compile. But if both are there means, mostly we'll compile the flows in the subclasses only. Will compile. Okay. So that is the thing. And in the next session, I'll discuss about some what are rule-based table types and all. I'll continue in the next session. Some other points are there. What are the different categories of rule-based tables we have, and what is their importance? Not only these, many other tables we have in the going forward. In many other tables we'll be getting. But what is their purpose? Time is not there today. I'll discuss in the next session. And I already see again daily. I'll not be sending a mail separately. See, you already have given access to